Detroit, we have got some genuinely great news to talk about today, and honestly, it snuck up on a lot of us. You knew some of these guys were banged up. You knew the injury report has looked ugly for weeks now. But when you actually stack it all together, this is not one player trickling back onto that practice field. This is not two players. This is 5, 6 important pieces of this roster all returning at the same time. Guys this team desperately needs healthy. And on top of all that, there is a rookie that Dan Campbell could not stop gushing about after going back and re-watching the tape. So stick around, because Detroit, there is a lot to get into today. Before we dive in, we are Detroit Scope, and we are closing in on 1,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are new here, or if you have been watching for a while and just have not hit that button yet, now is the time. It costs you nothing, it takes 2 seconds, and it genuinely helps us keep bringing you this kind of deep, honest breakdown of what is happening with this team all season long. So go ahead and tap subscribe, and let's get into it. Let's start with the name that matters most, and it really is not close. Juice Scruggs. Detroit, you have to have a center, and while Seth McLaughlin did a respectable job holding down the fort while Scruggs was out, the moment Juice Scruggs got back to full health, he was immediately plugged right back into the first-team offense. That tells you everything you need to know about where he sits in the pecking order at that position right now. This job appears to be his to lose. Remember, the Lions traded for this guy. He was a high draft pick who simply did not pan out during his time in Houston. But make no mistake, he is a good player, and Detroit desperately needs him to be good, because this offensive line cannot afford another shaky year in the middle after everything we watched last season. Nobody is expecting him to turn into the next Frank Ragnow. That bar is unfair for literally anybody walking into that building. But if he can simply be an upgrade over what this team got out of that spot a year ago, that alone would be a massive step forward for this offense. And here is something else worth keeping in mind. Fellow offensive lineman Cade Mays is expected back around week 6 or so once his wrist injury heals up. If you actually look at the schedule stretch leading into that point, this team has a real shot at sitting somewhere around 4-1, maybe even 5-1, heading into the bye. Outside of a matchup with Buffalo, that early slate is genuinely winnable. Mostly home games, mostly favorable opponents. Juice Scruggs anchoring that offensive line the right way could end up being a massive difference maker in getting this team off to the kind of start Lions fans have been dreaming about for years. Next up, defensive tackle DJ Reader. Now look, this one comes with a small asterisk, because Reader has been dealing with a nagging hamstring issue that has kept popping up throughout camp, and it is the kind of thing that makes you want to shout at the TV, "Come on, man, we need you healthy." But the fact that he is trending in the right direction and getting closer to full participation is genuinely good news for an interior defensive line that leans heavily on his presence to anchor the run defense. Hopefully that hamstring stays quiet the rest of the way, because this defense is a completely different animal with a healthy DJ Reader clogging up the middle of that line. Third on this list, running back and do-it-all defensive back Sion Vaki. Dan Campbell absolutely loves this guy, and when he has actually been out there on the field, he has looked good. The problem has simply been availability. It has felt like one thing after another with him this camp when it comes to injuries. Freak stuff, nagging stuff, the kind of bad luck that just piles up on a guy. So seeing him trend back a little earlier than expected is a genuinely welcome sight. This coaching staff just wants to see him rack up consistent practice representatives and actual playing time, because when he is healthy, he brings a unique element to this roster as a hybrid piece who can line up in multiple spots and give this defense some real versatility. Now let's talk about the linebacker room, because there is a lot happening here, and it is honestly one of the more fascinating position battles on the entire roster. Malcolm Rodriguez has had his share of ups and downs, and it genuinely looks like veteran addition Devin White has taken over his old spot in that starting mix. Detroit, that is completely fine. Think of Malcolm Rodriguez almost like this defense's beloved depth piece, a guy with a great story, a guy fans root hard for, but a guy who realistically was never going to be a true star at the position. He had his hard knocks moment a few years back. He played more snaps than maybe he should have during a stretch of necessity, and over the last couple of years, he simply has not been the guy carrying the load. Devin White stepping into that role, with Malcolm Rodriguez sliding into a rotational, special teams heavy role behind him. That is honestly the ideal outcome for both players. Rodriguez can be exactly what this roster needs him to be. Come in, contribute on special teams, be ready when called upon, be great depth. That is not a knock on him whatsoever. It is just an honest read on where he fits best on this particular roster. And speaking of linebackers, here is a name that deserves real excitement, Jimmy Warder. He has been working with trainers but not yet fully practicing, and that might sound like a mixed update on the surface. But stick with us, because this is actually really encouraging. Dan Campbell had originally indicated Warder was going to miss a significant chunk of time, and later reports suggested the same, missing extended stretches of camp. So the fact that he is out there now working through drills with the training staff, getting his body right, that is a genuinely positive sign. With the regular season now less than a month away, there is a real chance he could be back doing actual practice work within the next couple of weeks. And Detroit, that matters, because before the injury, reports out of camp had Jimmy Warder actually looking better than Malcolm Rodriguez. That is a big deal. Let Devin White anchor this linebacker room for a season. Let him bring that same energy and tackling production he brought even on a Raiders team that had absolutely nothing going for it around him. And let Jimmy Warder and Malcolm Rodriguez develop as the rotational pieces behind him this year, setting up to become the long-term answers at that position starting next season. Think about what Devin White dealt with in Vegas. A bad organization, constant losing, an offense doing him zero favors, and he still led that team in tackles. Pair a player with that kind of motor and pedigree with a defense that is actually trying to win, and this could be a huge bounce-back year for him. A perfect bridge season while the young guys develop right behind him. Now let's move to the storyline that has this fan base genuinely buzzing right now. Rookie cornerback Keith Abney. Dan Campbell went back and watched the tape a couple days after that preseason opener, and he could not stop raving about this kid at the podium. And honestly, the reaction from the fan base has been something like a quiet, cautious excitement. The kind where you almost do not want to jinx it by saying it out loud. Come on, man. Be great. Just be solid. Please be the answer this secondary has needed. Because let's be honest about something that has been genuinely frustrating for years now. This front office has really struggled to hit on cornerback prospects, whether through the draft or free agency. It is one of the hardest positions in the sport to nail, and Lions fans have watched multiple recent attempts at the position simply not pan out the way everybody hoped. So when a fifth-round pick like Keith Abney starts turning heads this fast, people take notice. There is already chatter that he probably should have gone in the third round, that the Lions straight up stole him in round 5. Who knows if that ends up being true, but the early signs are genuinely exciting. He plays physical football. Dan Campbell specifically said the kid belongs in the moment, that he feels good out there, that he looks the part, that the game does not look too big for him. That is exactly the kind of praise you want to hear about a rookie corner this early in his career. Keep a close eye on this one, Detroit, because it has been one preseason game so far, and now this team gets to come home for the next one. So we will get another real look at what this kid can do in front of the home crowd. A couple more names worth mentioning before we wrap things up. Kicker Jake Bates has quietly been putting on a show, connecting from 51 and 52 yards like it was absolutely nothing, and he even made a touchdown-saving tackle on a kick return, showing off some real hustle. Half joking here, but somebody needs to have a word with him about that. Kickers are not supposed to be out there making tackles in preseason. Let them score. Let the coaches sort it out on film later, because that is exactly the kind of situation where a guy sprints full speed doing something he is not used to doing and ends up pulling a hamstring for absolutely no reason. Stay safe out there, Jake. This team needs that leg all season long. And on the defensive line, keep an eye on rookie Skylar Gill-Howard, another name Dan Campbell has praised as a quick learner, the kind of player you only have to tell something once before it clicks. The coaching staff wanted to see how Gill-Howard could handle the dirty work in the trenches after coming from a college system built around gaudy scoring numbers and wide-open football, and the early returns suggest he can absolutely handle that grind at the next level. So look at where this leaves the Lions right now. Juice Scruggs anchoring the center spot with real starter buzz behind him. DJ Reader working his way back to full health up front. Sion Vaki finally stringing together a clean stretch of practice time. Devin White stepping confidently into the linebacker void, with Jimmy Warder trending in the right direction right behind him. And a fifth-round rookie cornerback in Keith Abney who might just end up being the steal of this entire draft class. That is a whole lot of good news arriving all at once, right as this team heads toward a real opportunity to get off to a fast start this season. And with Jahmyr Gibbs anchoring the backfield as the engine of this offense, the pieces are genuinely starting to line up for something special in Detroit. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. Which one of these returning names are you most excited to see back on the field? And while you're down there, tell us your Lions fan origin story, because we genuinely love reading every single one of them. Detroit, this channel is closing in on 1,000 subscribers, and we cannot get there without your help. So if you got something out of this video, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and leave a comment. It genuinely fuels this whole operation and helps us keep bringing you this kind of daily coverage all the way through the season. Thank you for watching Detroit Scope. Go Lions!